All right. So after the main quiz page, let's work on this my quizzes page. Or maybe before that, let's do this on quiz page. As I mentioned, we don't need that left section. Okay. So for this, what we can do, we have we have our main layout where we have our left section. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a copy of main layout, and let's name it quiz page layout. And inside this, we don't need this nav menu. We'll remove just this thing. Or maybe let's remove this one as well. And then we don't need this section, but we can leave it if we want to. Or maybe let's not use it. Okay. So here we will directly have this section. Remove this if check, because this can't be the first page which will start directly when we are starting our app. So we don't need this thing as well. That means we don't need this quiz auth state provider as well. Save it. And on our quiz page, we'll explicitly define that we need that layout, the layout which we created just now. So that is quiz page layout. Save it. And let's quickly test. There might be some CSS issues, but we'll see, because we have that scoped isolated CSS for these component, these layouts. Let's see if it is looking good or not. Okay, it is loading. Logging in. Start quiz. Okay. And I think we are good, right? We directly have this. And when we say save and next and continue, or maybe when this timer goes out, or we exit test, then it will go back. Do you really want to exit this quiz? And we are back. In this case, this should not uh, say okay, right? It should have said yes. If I do this, do you really want to exit the quiz? Close and okay. It should say yes. So maybe we can make this button's text dynamic, parameter based. Right? Let's quickly do this as well, and then we are good with this page. All right. Then we'll work on that my quizzes page. So first thing, let's quickly go to our shared components. Components, modal. Here we have this. Oh, we have action button text. Action button text, yeah. So on quiz.razor page, we have this confirmation. Here we can say action button text. This thing will say yes. Save it. Cool. Save everything, and now we should be good. All right. Now we'll go to our API side, and there we'll define an endpoint and a method in service to load all the quizzes which I have attempted. That means student has attempted. So we'll go to services. We have student quiz service. So inside this only, and for this first we needed that we need a DTO, right? So that should be something similar to student quiz. Let's copy this student quiz. Go to our shared project DTOs. In here we'll create a model. We'll say student quiz DTO. And we are going to add that. Then we'll simply clean this up. We need ID, but we don't need this key. Student ID, we don't need this. Quiz ID, we can have it. started on, completed on, status. We need the status, but we don't need all these things. It should directly show the status, and we can remove all these things. Then ID, quiz ID, started on, completed on, status, and score. And from this quiz ID, we can also have quiz name. And we can also have category name. Save it. I guess we are good with this. So let's copy the student quiz DTO name. And let's go to our student quiz service. And for this page, my test page, we are going to use paging, and we'll use QuickGrid for this. So let's say public async task student quiz DTO paged result student quiz DTO get student quizzes async. Here we are going to have student ID, and after student ID we need to have the paging related parameters. So here we'll say int. What are we using for others? Are we using start index or page number? Category service, auth service, user service. Are we using the paging somewhere, QuickGrid, or no? We have paged result. We must have used that paged result somewhere, right? Let me search for it. Paged result. Student quiz DTO. We have user DTO. So we are using start index and page size. Okay, to be in sync, I'm using this. So let's have start index and page size. Cool. Here we'll first have our query generated, which will be underscore context dot student quizzes dot as queryable, and then here we'll say var count equals await query dot count async. Then we'll say quizzes equals await query dot order by descending. We'll say q dot started on. We'll order by on started on. Then we'll say skip start index and take page size, and then to array async. After that we can return new page result, and here we can provide our quizzes and total count. Alright, our method is ready. Quizzes, right? What is the problem? Oh, we need to have that select so that transform the student quiz to student quiz DTO. Let's transform it. So we'll say select new student quiz DTO. Here first thing we need ID, then we need maybe quiz ID. We don't need quiz ID because we have quiz name, that should be enough. Then we'll have our quiz name. So q dot quiz dot name. After that we need to have category name. So we'll say q dot, we don't have category name. Oh, q dot quiz dot category dot name. Then we'll have the current status, q dot status. Then we'll have the score, q dot score. Then we are going to have started on. Then we are going to have completed on. Cool. Save everything, and now we are good. Let's copy this signature. Oh, student ID. Yeah, my bad. It will return all the quizzes for all the students, but that is not what we want. So we'll have first filter on q.student id equals this student id. Save it and now we should be good. Copy this thing. Then let's go to endpoints, student quiz endpoints, and here API/student. Then we have this quiz related. So here only before quiz on this group we'll say group.map get, and here we'll say /my quizzes is sync, and here we are going to have int start index as parameter, int page size as parameter, and then student quiz service from the injections. From here we'll return results.ok await service dot get student quiz sync. We need student id that we can get from claims principal. So let's inject claims principal as well. Principal, and we'll get principal dot get student id, then start index, then page size. What is the problem with the start index? Start index T is missing. All right, our endpoint is ready. /API/student/my quizzes. Now let's go to the UI side. So in Blazor WebAssembly application APIs, we have iStudent quiz API. Here only we are going to have this method, and we will not pass student ID as a parameter because we will get it from the currently logged in users information. Okay, and then this is going to be a get endpoint, so we'll add get, then /API/student/my quizzes. Save it and we should be good. Now we can start using this. So for this we'll go to our pages, student my quizzes. Here we need to have a private collection. We'll say student quiz DTO, or not collection. We are going to use QuickGrid, so we'll directly use QuickGrid. So for the initial header or all this, we'll have our section content. So let's copy the section content from some other page and we'll have it here, section content, page title, and then we'll say my quizzes without @ all right. Then we can have simply div class container. Inside this we can have our UI main thing, and that main thing is going to be our QuickGrid. So for QuickGrid we are going to use grid items provider. So for this, first thing we need to inject a couple of services. I'll inject iAppState, then I'll inject iStudentQuiz API. We need at least these two things. Save everything and now we should be good. Now we are going to have a QuickGrid here. On this we are going to define items provider. For this we need to have private, let's say grid items provider, and type of item is going to be student quiz DTO items provider, and then we are going to go to override on initialized async. Inside this we are going to define items provider equals, this is a delegate, so we need to provide it. It will get request as a parameter, and then we need to define this. So first thing we'll say appstate dot show loader, we'll say fetching quizzes. After this we'll say var page result equals await student quiz API dot get student quizzes async. We need to provide a start index and page size. So start index we can get from request dot start index, and page size we can get from request dot count. Now this count is nullable, so we need to have some default page size. So for this we'll say private const int default page size equals, let's say 10. Get this, and on this count we'll say double question mark default page size. So if it is null, then use the default page size. Alright, then from here we'll return grid items provider result dot from, we need list of items, so collection. So we'll say page result dot records, and then second is total count, so we'll say page result dot total count, and before this we'll say app state dot hide loader, and our items provider is ready. And do we need anything here that is async? So this async and await, these are value for this items provider. So there is nothing direct async operation we are doing in this on initialize async. So we can go to the non-async version, this one, save it, and we should be good here. Save. Fine. So in QuickGrid we need to provide this items provider. Now in here on this student quiz DTO we have these properties. Copy this, come here, I'll have these here so that we can add these. So on this grid we don't need to display ID, we don't need to display quiz ID. Okay, we'll display quiz name, category name, when it was started, when it was completed, what is the status, and what is the score. Alright, so here we'll say property column, and the property is going to be q dot quiz name, and on this we'll give it a title quiz name. Let's copy it a couple of times. Then we are going to have category name, so category name. Then we are going to have when it was started and when it was completed, or maybe let's first show the status. Here we don't need to explicitly define this title because the status would show up as a title as well. Then we have this score, or maybe before that we can have started on, and on this date once we can provide format as well. Okay, so here maybe DDMMYYYY and then HHMM, and then same goes with completed on. Now this could be null, so we need to handle this thing. So for this completed on we will not use property column directly, we'll have our own custom template for this. So for this what we will do, we will have a template column here. Let's say started, just on this template column we can define title, we'll say completed, and then inside this we will check if context. So this context is a special variable inside template columns. It refers to the single item of this quick grid, that is going to be this student quiz DTO. On this context dot we can check completed on dot has value. If it has value, then we can simply directly display this. So context dot completed on dot value dot toString, and we can have the same format we have here on the started. If that's not the case, we can see what why this completed on is not there. So I guess when we exit the quiz, at that time we don't set this completed on, right? So let's go to our student quiz service to quickly verify it. Here we have complete quiz, we have auto submit, and then exit quiz. When we exit the quiz, then we don't set this null. Okay. So here we can check if context dot status, if this is equals student quiz status, and I guess that we have not, this is inside API only, because initially we thought it will be used in API only, but now it is being used in UI also. So we can move it to the common if we want to, but for now let's have it hard coded only. If this context or status is exited, then we'll simply say maybe this is not applicable, or we can say what we should uh is exited, something like this. I don't know what we should do here, but let's have this. If that's not the case and we don't have this completed on, then there might be some issue. You can have another other cases as well. Maybe it was started but it was never completed. There was some issue with maybe network connection or anything related to that. It could be anything, and we don't have that. Then that is also a case. So in this case, we can simply say just hyphen, nothing else. So just leave it like this. And after this, we have this score. So on this last property column, we can say score. We don't need this title, but let's say we want this score to be center aligned. So on these property columns and template columns, we can have this class property, which is actually CSS class, where we can say text center. Save it, and now we are good. We can remove this initial commented properties. Cool. Now, right now, this is not using paging. There is no indication of paging. So we need to have paging as well. For that, we have a paginator control, which takes a state, which is pagination state object. So we will create this private pagination state underscore pagination state equals new pagination state. And inside this, we can define one property items per page. So here we'll use this default page size. Now we have this pagination state. Let's use this here. Now this pagination will show a pagination UI, but it is not linked to QuickGrid yet. So on this QuickGrid, we also have this pagination. Inside this, if we provide this pagination state, now this pagination state class, this is being used from both of these. So now we have actually connected QuickGrid with this paginator. Alright, so save everything. Now let's quickly go and try out if we are able to see my quiz. There should be a lot of incomplete quizzes, right? Because we have been testing out all those things. We start and we'll simply leave in between. That's why there should be so many incomplete quizzes there. Okay, we are here. This is API. Here is UI, my quizzes, patching quizzes, and we can see this. We can't see the rows properly. Let's force restart, and something is not right. Pagination is here. quiz name, category name, status, started on, completed on, and what is the score. And we have this score here. So that means this worked at least. But somehow there's, oh, not somehow, we didn't add any class to this, right? So let's add some bootstrap classes to this. So we'll go to Visual Studio. On this QuickGrid, I'm going to add class here. And here we'll say table uh, stripped, and let's say table hover as well. Save it, try to hot reload. Let's see if it hot reloads. And maybe, yeah, it is here. Cool, we can see these things now. So my quizzes, and we can see this table with proper paging. You see? Alright, so looks like we are good with this as well. We have this home. Let's quickly again start this quiz. Okay. Yes. Save and next. Does Blazor server use signaler? Yes. Submit the quiz. Successfully submitted. Okay. And we have this first one where it shows score is 1. Alright. Cool. Now let's quickly handle this small case. When we press OK, we can see the loader, but that is behind this modal. So we'll quickly check what is the Z index of this modal. So we are here on this modal. If we see, we have Z index 1055. Okay. And on this overlay, we have 1050. So that loader should be more than 1055. Let's go to our solution, go to our loader. That should be in shared components, loader. And we are not having, yeah, we have this Z index 2049. Yes. Oh, but because it is inside this div, so we need to have this Z index on this initial outer div as well. So let's do this. Copy, paste. We'll have 2049 on this div full screen, and then 2050 on this thing, inner one. Save it, hot reload, or maybe because this is in the shared Blazor class library, it might not pick up. So we'll stop it and we'll start the application again. And then we'll do hard refresh a couple of times so that it loads latest CSS. Then we'll go to home, start quiz. Okay, and we can see preparing quiz on top of that. You saw that, right? And here we can see this yes. Do you really want to exit? Yes, and close. Alright, so we are good. Cool. Now, what we'll do, if we refresh the application, or we come initially, let's say if I do this, and if I start the app, then what it does, it goes to this home page with slash, so there is nothing. But what we need, we don't need this page. We want, whenever it is starting up, it should directly go to this home page, student/home. Okay, so we'll fix that thing next.